I got my new phone here, and it's much less expensive than the iPhone. And I was paying per month. I'm pretty sure I was paying a bunch more per month for the iPhone after I could have upgraded, basically after I bought it. And so now I just got a cheaper phone. But as far as I can tell, it's better, but it doesn't have, panoramic and stuff like that, which I don't really need, don't want. So, if anything, I like it better so far. Oh, it's raining. So, it's a lot easier. It's an Android. It's a lot easier to upload now than it used to be. Didn't have to enter some extra codes or anything. Alright, so I wanted to talk about a couple things. More than a couple, but I wrote down on this where's my camera note thing, some stuff. So, the first thing is this idea I call U.S. Incorporated. And the fact that I've been trying to get a minarchist or a libertarian or a Randy Cropper or well, that's pretty much it. To just understand the idea, not to agree with that it's a good idea, but just to understand the argument I'm making. And finally, I found one. This guy I've been subscribed to a long time, Nicholas De Silencio. And, he actually has understood this argument, and I think that's great. And he made some arguments. That's me spinning. He made some arguments about it that, I think, he understands my idea, but also he still doesn't quite get its impact. And it's about the fact that libertarians have this idea of what is right or wrong based on principles, right? So if you have the right, the moral economic system, and some people lose out, that's just the way it goes. Sometimes they'll say, well, it won't go that way. But if it does, whatever. That's kind of the general view. And U.S. Inc. points out that, look, you can look at the United States government as a private organization. The U.S. military formed to take territory, to take control of territory. And people might reject that and say, oh, no, it was a revolutionary force. Yeah, exactly. It was a military, and there was a government that had claimed that territory, and this military aimed to take that territory away. Right? Now, the legitimacy of either the British claim or the U.S. claim is entirely beside the point. The fact is that militaries made such claims, enforced them, right? Without enforcement, there is no claim. And we formed one to take it from the British. After we took the part from the British, we kept the military around. People like Benjamin Franklin wanted to, not keep that permanent military around and have a militia. But we kept the military around because we still had to fight the the Spanish and the French more, and some, the Indians were their allies, and then we just went off on the Indians around the middle of the 19th century, the 1800s, aka. We pretty much, started finishing off with them, and by the 1900s, we had turned to continuing the military through being the late to the gang rape nation, and fucking around the world. Okay, but anyway, so I'm sorry, I got on an asterisk there. So the point is, the country starts from military, and whether it's legitimate or not, this is how you take territory by the old rules, right? So, and by the current rules, but let's say at least by the old rules. And so that's how this organization, the U.S. military, got the territory of the United States. And whether that's a private or a public institution, it doesn't matter. It's a matter of semantics. Now, that organization formed a government whereby there would be a partnership of the people involved in supporting that military and the military itself, and they would own all this property that had been taken. Some would say stolen, right? According to a partnership, which is the Constitution. And everybody that's come here, or that was already here, either agreed to the Constitution sort of implicitly or explicitly, or they actually were immigrants that, signed on the dotted line to protect the Constitution. That's the agreement that says that this government, with the enforcement of the U.S. military, can take taxes and work in the general welfare. Now, it doesn't mean the government just gets to decide what the general welfare is, insofar as the agreement stipulates that we all get to vote in various forms of direct and indirect democracy to decide what counts as general welfare and everything. That's our influence. And to a libertarian or a Randian, if this is a private agreement between people that have accepted the Constitution, then that's that. It can force you to, taxes are not stealing because you didn't have that money ahead of time. It's a part of even the existence of that money that you hold. It's an artifact of the partnership, and it depends on the partnership. And just because you inherit your rights to be in the partnership from your parents that were partners, which inherited from their grandparents, which were partners, which inherited, well, maybe you came over with your grandparents, or wherever you came over, you inherit the same rights and so on of the partnership, just as if you inherit a piece of land with no mineral rights, when you inherit it, you don't just suddenly get the mineral rights. So I would love to have a debate with and discussion with Nicholas DeSlentia on this, because he still disagrees with me, but I think he's missing part of my point, but I don't mind at all, because he gets the basic argument that I'm arguing from well enough that I can also point out that I'm not saying it was legitimate. I'm just saying this is the way it is. This is where we are right now. We have a partnership, and whether you call it public or private, I mean, when you call it public, you're like, I was born with rights. When you call it private, you're like, well, what's the written down agreement? And that's where we really are. Now, the whole theory of the social construct was originally invented as if a country like the UK had the social construct, just somehow implicitly. Yeah, okay, so that's a little bogus, but guess what? The United States incorporated this idea of the social contract, and we actually have it explicitly. So if you're part of this country, then you have agreed to the Constitution, which includes paying taxes and other things that libertarians and Randys and minarchists and the like argue against. The other thing I want to talk about is Trump and this Alicia Machado thing. Okay, so Trump is tweeting in the middle of the night. I'm sorry, that's unhinged. I'm not saying I wouldn't have a friend that did that, but I would say that friend is unhinged. If I had a friend that was prone to that, which I have some friends that would be prone to that if they were at all technological at all, but they are more like don't know about Twitter. So I think I know people that might be prone to that, that just happen to not be prone to that, and I like them, but I wouldn't vote for him to be president, right? And if you're tweeting about imaginary sex tapes, of which there's no evidence, porn, and I've seen the viewers view ladies, they already are talking about she's in porn. No, that's unfact-checked. And if you want to believe that, yeah, you get to believe whatever you want. But it makes you look like an idiot. Okay? And if you're going to call Hillary Clinton, who I'm not that fond of, but you're just going to call her nonstop a criminal and blah, 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 and has killed 40 people or 70 people or 50 or whatever it is, you can expect names to be thrown back. No, we expect to be treated politely while we treat you impolitely. Oh, I'm sorry, maybe you're a spoiled, codependent child. It's not going to happen that way. Trump is uncontrolled internally. He cannot control himself. All right? 3 a.m. tweets. Tweet storm. From 3 to 5 a.m. That's not stability. The inability to let go of things. Not good in a president. The fact that he's fighting with Rosie O'Donnell for 10 years. Over what? Well, over the fact that she made fun about his treatment of a Miss America. But it was good, his treatment. Whatever. Why is he not over it? She disagreed, and she also has a place in popular media, and so she said about it, and he can't fucking get over it. That's not the kind of thing you want from a president. Can't get the fuck over anything. Right? Alright, so let's see how this goes. Can I upload this motherfucker?